The Fallout show was remarkable.
You want to make my cock explode now? Sorry, intercourse?
And like most of the world, after finishing Season 1, I now have Fallout fever. And while most people looking for an introduction to the franchise are likely jumping into Fallout 4, I, an intellectual, wanted to jump into the game that started it all. No, I am not a masochist, but I did already play through all of the Bethesda Fallout games recently. Except for Fallout 76. You couldn't get me to play that even if you gave it to me for free. Oh, you did give it to me for free. But with the show taking place on the West Coast, I thought it would be cool to explore that part of the Fallout universe. Maybe get some more background and lore about the world, and just enjoy existing in the wasteland. Will I regret this decision? There's only one way to find out. In the original Fallout, you take the reins of a vault dweller from Vault 13. Your water chip is broken, the vault is left with only 150 days of drinkable water, and you're given the task of heading out into the wasteland and tracking down a new chip. And just like that, we're off on an epic adventure. After clearing out the cave, my first ever playthrough ended about 10 minutes in, as I missed numerous attacks and die at the hands of a gang of rats.
I died to rats!
It was at this point that I realized this game was not very forgiving, and I decided to roughly follow a guide since it's probably my only hope at actually finishing this game. Shout out to Cole Simmons aka K-Pants for helping me get through this. Just posting a full-on walkthrough town by town for nothing other than the love of the game. Respect, my guy. After surviving the cave rats, we head out and find ourselves at a town that is mentioned heavily in the show, Shady Sands. What are you guys gonna do about that bomb they're planning to drop on you? Actually, never mind, let's not talk about that. You don't really explore the wasteland like you expect from the Bethesda games. You can pick a location to travel to or wander around aimlessly with the chance of random encounters to trigger, such as raiders or mutants. But we made it to Shady Sands unscathed. I grab a rope and a guy named Ian and make my way to Vault 15 looking for a water chip. I avenged my prior life against a slew of rats, but unfortunately, no water chip here. I guess we'll all just die of dehydration. As you can already tell, this game is vastly different from the Bethesda Fallout games people are likely more familiar with. This is a top-down RPG with turn-based combat, character skills that can make or break your playthrough if you don't know what you're doing, and not much direction as to where you're supposed to go. All you know is that you're looking for a water chip, but the game doesn't tell you how to get one. It only provides suggestions like saying Vault 15 might have one. It didn't, by the way. You find cities by talking to NPCs and asking for directions to nearby towns. It's a borderline shell-shocking experience compared to modern RPGs where the game holds your hand the entire way. I could barely figure out the inventory system and how to control my character at first. These types of games have a lot to offer, but they will definitely test your patience, especially if you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Our next stop was over in Junktown, where I found my first voiced NPC, the town mayor, Killian. It's really interesting seeing what they were able to do all the way back in 1997 with the technology they had available then. And it makes you appreciate how far gaming has come. He tells us about the gang problems in Junktown, and we agree to help him out. We grab another friend in Tycho, and then we tell Gizmo we'll help him take out Killian before completely backstabbing him.
No one double-crosses me. No one.
I guess that was an empty threat. Now that Junktown is saved from the evil casino owner, we run off to the hub to do some RPG things. Thanks to K-Pants for letting us know we can rob the Falcon blind at the roulette table, learn some skills in the library, and buy some nice guns and armor. Not to mention a pit stop to give some caps to a mutant hobo. Now that we're all geared up, it's time to get that water chip. We find ourselves in the dark town of Necropolis, completely overrun by ghouls and super mutants. After taking out the dangerous mutants in the streets, we head underground to find some friendly mutants. They tell us the water and surface of Necropolis is controlled by Set and his ghouls, a different faction that doesn't appreciate the peaceful ghouls we found. A little side note here, I love that you can straight up just call the friendly ghouls pansies and most likely make them hostile. But I needed their help with the water chip, so I kept it peaceful. He tells us where they get their water from. Huge mistake, bro, that's like Apocalypse 101. Before telling us that if we take it, they'll all die. Get in line, man, I'm here to save my people, not yours. Luckily for the underground ghouls, I'm a nice guy, and decided to fix their pump before stealing their water chip. So I take out an army of ghouls and super mutants before fixing their pump, taking their water chip, and trekking my way back home to Vault 13. And that's it, the vault's saved. Game over, right? Of course not. I gave my reporter what I saw above ground, and the Overseer doesn't like what he read. Apparently, from whatever I told the vault records, the Overseer was able to deduce that the mutant population is far greater than expected and someone must be generating new mutants. Don't you think we're making assumptions here? You're just gonna send me back out there on a genocidal mission with no direction other than find this lab you're assuming exists and destroy it? Oh yeah, I'm sure you're sorry. I guess I gotta find a mutant camp. But first I did some side questing, saving a girl kidnapped from Shady Sands by raiders. I negotiate her return peacefully, bring her home safe and sound, and then obviously go back to the raider camp and brutally murder them all. Should've killed me when you had the chance, suckers. After delivering justice, K-Pants had us preemptively head to some random crater, climb down, and retrieve a holotape from a downed Brotherhood knight. Then we finally meet the Brotherhood for the first time. I tried joining, but they give me a quest to complete before I'm allowed. What do I have to do? Oh, here's the thing you wanted. Already did it. Thanks, K-Pants. The Brotherhood base is very reminiscent of their base in New Vegas. Completely underground, it functions more or less like a vault. Here we finagle ourselves a pair of power armor, level up some RPG skills, and learn about the Brotherhood. Unfortunately, this is where my playthrough started going downhill. The guide I've been following recommended I scour the wasteland for random encounters where you can come across a UFO with downed aliens. If you find this, you can get the Alien Blaster, which is allegedly the best gun in the game. But after an hour of this, I decided to move on without the Alien Blaster. His next suggestions are a slew of side quests. Some seemed interesting, others didn't, but the majority of them seemed to be pretty difficult. They include taking out Deathclaws or highly dangerous figures in the wasteland. So I did the ones I could and skipped the ones that I felt I may need the Alien Blaster for. But looking back, I really should have just kept wandering until I got that Alien Blaster. And that was never more apparent than when I made it to the military base. I showed up, killed the super mutants outside, and then reported my findings to the Brotherhood. I figured my brothers in arms would want to know and join me in my assault of this mutant army. Instead, they give me 4 guys that are apparently too afraid to actually enter the base. Thanks for nothing. So I slowly chipped away at the super mutants one at a time, getting low on heals and then having to run back outside to rest and heal. This took hours and was really testing my patience. But this was seemingly my final mission, so I just needed to push through it. I eventually took out their lieutenant, blew that base sky high, and wait, is that just the end? Nope, I just never left the area and the blast killed me. So I blew it sky high again, surviving this time. But I notice I still have one more objective: take out the mutant leader. I make my way down to the cathedral and demand to speak to their manager. I sneak up to his bedroom and kill him in cold blood, and then take his clothes to sneak down into the lair of the mutant leader. This mission was so hard. Right about here is where I spent 2 hours cheesing, save scumming, and just desperately trying to get through this last mission so I can say I beat the original Fallout. Well, before that, I actually just agreed to join them and got a cutscene of the mutants killing everyone in Vault 13. But then I reloaded my save and tried again. I'm not sure if skipping out on the Alien Blaster is all I did wrong, but I struggled for hours trying to take out the mutant leader. While you try fighting him, the game constantly spawns mutants behind you. So I pretty much saved after every good roll on my attacks, and then once I died, it wouldn't spawn back the mutants. Just slowly feeling I was taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back, and constantly wanting to give up. Eventually I took out the leader, put my disguise back on, and tried running away before the self-destruction sequence kills everyone in there. This was another half hour of cheesing the ever-living hell out of the game, trying to un-aggro the enemy so I could quietly walk out to the sounds of victory. Failure after failure after failure. But eventually I made it back up the stairs, and I was able to put my robes back on and make my escape. Remember in the beginning when I asked if I'd regret my decision? The last 4 hours or so really made me regret wanting to finish this game. I was frustrated, tired, and just wanted the game to be done. But after having some time to cool off before writing this script, I can genuinely say I'm glad that I beat the original Fallout. With it being the first iteration, there weren't huge story details that I learned regarding the world of Fallout. But this little game being made in 1997 had no idea what the Fallout franchise would become, stock full of lore and secrets waiting to be discovered. But without succeeding in my initial goal of seeing where it all began and maybe learning more about the world, I still really enjoyed the gameplay and existing in this world. At least, up until I struggled through the last 2 missions. I liked running into references from the TV show, or visiting towns like Shady Sands that I only heard mentioned in Fallout New Vegas. It just helps interconnect the Fallout world I know with the show. And the interactions were top notch. The world here is driven a lot more by your decisions and dialogue choices than in the Bethesda games. And it can really lead to funny conversations. While the gameplay is unintuitive and unforgiving for newcomers, I still think there's value to be found here. I personally like playing something new or different, and a top-down turn-based RPG is not something I play often. This game certainly isn't for everyone, and I wouldn't recommend the average gamers subject themselves to a steep learning curve. But if you're up for the task, I'd say check out a guide, go in with an open mind, and go explore the wondrous world of Fallout for yourself.